Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Consultants Corner. In today's new era where collaborations and partnership is becoming more prevalent and important, it is our belief that an open narrative and sharing of ideas is absolutely vital. The industry possesses some exceptional operators, consultants, and contractors, and it's our aim to bring greater insights into the thinking which can often lie hidden away. I'm Maxine Crow, your host, and I am absolutely delighted to be joined by Kevin Watson from Amadeus. Hi, Kevin, how are you?
I'm very well, Maxine, and yourself?
I'm really good, thanks. Thanks for joining me. I remember it was a few months ago that we first met, and yeah, I'm really happy that you're here to share your insights with us and the audience. So I'm going to ask you some questions, just starting with tell us a bit about yourself and your career.
Okay, so I'm 50 years of age, married with two children. I live up in Stratford-upon-Avon. I've been up here now for 12 years, always been sort of London-based, born and bred. And I moved up for the role with Amadeus, but I'm starting out earlier. So I think a lot like a lot of my colleagues in the hospitality or food service industry, we may not have left school or further education with intentions of being in this industry or sector. I definitely didn't. I was fortunate enough to fall into a trainee assistant manager role with Burger King, which was owned by Grand Met, back in the basically 90, I think 91, 90, along those lines. I chose that because the investment into me as an individual and the development and the training they put in. So you weren't allowed near a restaurant for at least 3 months. You had to do your basic management training, etc. So I sort of fast tracked through my BMT, worked with the corporate, worked in a lot of their larger company stores through London, joined a franchise, and became their sort of area manager. And then I was concerned about being pigeonholed in just being Burger King, sort of one brand. I'd got my restaurant manager experience, my multi-site experience. So I thought, what better platform than to get to join Compass Group? So I joined Compass Group as a general manager, looking after a shopping centre and a food court in Hampshire. That was loss making, and I didn't really understand or comprehend loss making. So I worked pretty hard with the team and turned that around. It'd been loss making since it opened, the first 7 years of trading. But within 8 months of arriving there as the GM, we managed to turn that into a profitable site. On the back of that, was promoted up to Guildford Leisure Spectrum, the largest leisure centre in Europe. Worked through there. That was all with a select service partner within Compass Group. Was then moved internally to Eurest. Was doing some MOD, some military sites in the UK, but I based my decision on joining them to go to Italy. So we opened the first, and Burger King came back round again. So we introduced and opened the first Burger Kings in Italy, and it's the first Compass sites and footprint in Italy itself.
Yeah.
So I ended up living across Italy and Sicily for about 3 years. Was homesick, came back, went with a ex-Compass employee, guy called John Greenwood, who was the group CEO at the time, and joined Road Chef Motorway Services. My first real experience of sort of board level and strategy, and it was owned by a venture capitalist group. So really proud of what we did there. One of my hardest roles. I believe we really revolutionized that market and that sector. We transacted, we sold that business. There was a role to stay on, but I thought I'd done what I could do. I'm not a great maintainer. I'm all about sort of transformation and change and growth.
Mm-hmm.
And then left there, joined a really small startup one-store cafe, so the Natural Retail Cafe. We grew that up to 14 stores. We sold those stores. That was my sort of first real enjoyment of a bit of equity. And then a bit left field, a friend of mine was running the O2 at the time. It'd just been bought by AEG, transformed from the Millennium Dome as it was.
Yeah.
And AEG had bought a boat company, a commuter service called Thames Clippers. Again, loss making. And I didn't really know, and still don't know that much about boats, tidal rivers, timetables, engineering, marine engines, and so on. But I liked the challenge. I've got a bit of an affinity with boats and water personally, and I wanted to test if my skills are transferable. So I went over. We managed to turn that business around again from loss making to the profitable, and then on the back of that, the role came up with the NEC Group up in the Midlands in Birmingham. The plan was to try and take it from public ownership to private ownership. So we transacted that. We did a sort of a leveraged MBO with the help of LDC, Lloyds Bank. So we did that back in 2014. We then transacted that again to a larger PE onto Blackstone in 2018. COVID clearly hit, and we're sort of starting afresh, coming out of COVID. We don't like to mention that anymore. We're trading back stronger than we were pre-COVID, and but back to that sort of private equity model and growth.
Yeah, that's an amazing journey. What's been a highlight of your role?
I think personally, the highlight through all of my roles have been the team I've worked with. So I've been fortunate and lucky enough to work with some excellent people, been able to be part of their development, their growth into leaders themselves, and watch them go on and flourish. I suppose operationally, the biggest highlight and probably the biggest challenge was delivering the Olympic Games in 2012. So I'd been in situ for 6 months. We had a project team managing that project for 3 years pre me arriving.
Yeah,
I was reassured and told it was in safe hands, and it started to go wrong about 2 weeks from the beginning of the Olympics.
wow.
And so I was actually on holiday. 2 days in, I got the call, realised what was going wrong. I flew in, had to get my passes and security, etc. I arrived on site. I had basically 2 pairs of underwear, 1 shirt, etc., thinking it was a day or two. And I ended up staying there for the 2.5 weeks of the duration of the event because it really needed a bit of support. And that was true sort of crisis management. Through there, you really tell people's character and morals and values. And you see who sinks and who swims in those sort of environments. But definitely a highlight, but with sort of a mixed double-edged sword. It was probably the most challenging event or operation I've ever been in and had to rescue. But yeah, incredibly proud of the team and how they pulled through and how we rescued that. And I truly believe that anyone visiting the largest event on the planet had no perception of what we were doing back of house and the challenges and the struggles we had.
That's amazing. That's a lovely, a double-edged bittersweet, I would say, because you're dealing with a crisis. However, it's sweet because of the outcome that you had.
Absolutely. No, I mean, we retained a lot of those quality people from that event and brought them back up to Birmingham, and they're still with me today as you know, as part of our senior leadership team within Amadeus.
Oh, that's a great achievement, Kevin. You should be proud. You should be really proud. So, well, speaking of challenges, we've just talked about one, but can you give us an example of what are the challenges with Amadeus and what you have to be at the O2? No, sorry, the NEC.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I think they're.
Sorry, it's only because I was at the O2 last week, so I confused it with the NEC.
Listen, you and your social butterfly life, it's amazing where you go and what you're up to. But no, I suspect my challenges are the same as most of my colleagues in the industry. It's that constant innovation and that constant investment into what's new, product, service, delivery, style, tech, etc. But you need people at the core of those systems and processes. So it's finding and attracting talent and then retaining it, and then just trying to look at improving the dwell time, try and enhance and be part of the customer experience wherever you are and whatever venue they're going to and whatever they're experiencing, and making sure that the food service, the catering, the hospitality is a seamless addition to that experience, and enhancing that experience and say improving the dwell time and thus the spend. So I suspect they're my biggest challenges, and I suspect they're quite similar whoever you speak to.
Yeah, yeah, that's really true. So let's talk about some future trends now. What do you consider to be the future trends in the industry, and how do you feel that we can prepare for changes?
Yeah, I think COVID's left us with quite a positive legacy, if I'm honest. So since COVID, I'm finding potential new members of the team are interviewing us as a company and an organisation instead of us interviewing them. That change of power and that empowerment's excellent. I've got a daughter now who's 19. I hope she takes the same ethos into wherever her first employment is. But they talk about culture, challenges, what we're doing for the community, what's our ESG, talking about their development, what their career and etc. So it's really great to watch the confidence and watch that dynamic change. So in the employment market, they are looking for the right employer, the right organization with the right values and morals, not just printed on a wall, but actually living and breathing them. Clearly, you've got a level of an uncertainty, but it's here for sure, and it's definitely going to get bigger. Is AI as an element? So we're looking closely at machine learning at the moment, about forecasting, stock ordering, managing our stock system and our lines, etc., to ensure we've got the right products, the right amount, reducing waste, also trying to predict and forecast labor requirements. So really looking at the two big costs. If you look at our industry, we've really got two big levers of costs. One is the product, the food and the beverage, and one is the team and the labor side. So if we can get better or more effective or more efficient at managing both those levers, then that's only going to be advantageous for us. Looking at challenging and looking at the headwinds we've faced over the last sort of 12, 24 months. So I think they're trends that are coming. I think the healthy, good for you, the vegan, vegetarian, flexitarian are just continue to grow. They're still relatively small, but are still growing, and I think that's going to continue. And clearly anything sustainable, going back to individuals interviewing the organization and the business, it's one of the questions they ask, and you can clearly see it being very close to either conscious or subconscious decision making, whether it's a consumer, whether it's a corporate, or whether it's a future employee.
Yeah. We actually had Patrick from, I don't know if you know Patrick from Digitali. He was on the other week and talked about you should probably connect and talk about the waste and the food, because he was quite insightful in terms of what he had and how you can help.
He's a great guy and it's a good product.
So Kevin, can you give the audience your top 3 recipes for success when working with clients, caterers, and consultants?
Wow. Okay. I think do what you say you're going to do is probably my number one. If you say you're going to be there at 9 o'clock, or you say you're going to be able to deliver a dinner for 2,000 or whatever it is you're selling or promising, just make sure you can deliver it. So that's getting rarer and rarer these days about that. And I don't think it's malicious, the oversell or the overpromise, but it's very easy to slip into and maybe slip out your comfort zone and what you're able to and with confidence. So so number one, do what you say you're going to do. That's very important for me. I'd be very open and honest and transparent. I think give trust until you have a reason not to give trust is probably a good way of approaching relationships, whether that's supply partners, clients, and any guest or customer. So be open, be transparent, lead with trust. There's nothing wrong with showing a bit of vulnerability, and that just deepens the relationship. As I said, in whatever sort of format that is.
Mm.
And I think the third one is just have fun. It's a fantastic industry. We are right in the center of most experiences, whether it's concerts, whether it's exhibitions, whether it's visitor attractions, whether it's just having a really nice lunchtime with some friends or colleagues or family. But
Mm.
we are right in the center of positive experiences. So, embrace that, utilize that, and enjoy yourself as much as your guests or your customers, because it is a fun industry. There's some great characters. There's no reason to take yourself or it too seriously.
Mm. That's some really great advice from you, Kevin. How would you like to see the sector evolve and change?
I guess I get very, I suppose, defensive about the rhetoric about it being minimum wage, unsocial hours, really hot, aggressive kitchens, a lot of swearing and cursing and all those. I've seen that. I've never really experienced it firsthand, but there's some great roles in this sector. There's some great success stories. It's only one of the only markets and sectors I know where you can start as a Saturday kitchen porter, an MSO, a cashier, or barista, or a waiter or waitress, and actually work your way up to the top.
Mm.
So I know lots of colleagues with similar job titles to myself that started there as I did. I'm a great example of that.
Mm.
So, I'm not that academic. I don't have certificates flying out my ears, but it's a great sector. It's done wonders for me. I see what it does for other people. I look at the enjoyment. I look at the camaraderie and the team spirit it drives, and I really get defensive when it starts to get such a negative rap in the media or from people outside the sector that don't understand it and
Mm.
keep talking about minimum wage, unsocial hours, and basically detracting potential people from looking at the sector as a potential future and a career, because it has that development, that learning, that career opportunities in abundance for anybody with any skill set from any background.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you actually have an academy? How do you entice, or not entice, that's probably the wrong word. How do you encourage and find and nurture young talents?
Yeah, so I think paying minimum wage is a mistake. So we always pay a premium above and beyond minimum wage
Yeah.
and living wage. So that's a good start, because it's very competitive out there. We rely on our reputation, so recommend friends and family. So we recognise and reward that. The training is second to none. So we spend a lot of our a high percentage of our turnover and our profit reinvesting into the team, into their learning and their development, and whether that's continuation of their current career path or taking them sideways into different sectors, whether it's finance, HR, marketing, etc.
Mm-hmm.
We're fortunate. We have a very low turnover figure for the industry, and we've got some incredibly long service. So I know the metrics are telling us we're doing it right, but as I said at the beginning, a little bit glib, every business seems to have values or mission statements or whatever it may be on their wall, above their office, or on their business cards. But you really need to kick the tires and validate and test what their morals and values are. And you tend not to know until things go wrong. So when things are going swimmingly, everyone can smile and be positive. But it's when things are a bit taxing, a bit testing, and it's a true sign of, an organization and its leadership, the behaviors and the values and the morals that they sort of live. And, going through COVID was a great example of that. Where we came across most of our partners who behaved and acted correctly. There was very few that didn't. And we're not working with them now for those exact reasons. So I think reputation is important. try and avoid paying the minimum, i.e. living wage or minimum wage. When you've got success, absolutely hone it, talk, refine it, develop it, grow it, stretch it. And really that's the difference between sort of leadership and management. Management's all about control. We need to control the business. We need to control what we do and how we do it. Absolutely. But then you need the leadership's the opposite end of that spectrum. It's about relaxing control. In fact, possibly not having any, and empowering people, entrusting people, and allowing people to make mistakes.
Yeah. That's a great answer. And you cannot beat leadership that empowers teams. That's how you get the results. That's how you get the best results, and leading by example.
Yeah, there's the push-pull model that we all know, and we all need a little bit of those different skills at different times. But I'm very much, if I put my team as number one priority, my number one investment, then they look after my customers.
Mm.
So my customers are looked after because I'm prioritizing looking after my team, and then my P&L benefits because my customers are happy and their experience, etc. So it's you need to worry about all of those stakeholders. But for me, I very much prioritize on the team, a highly motivated, highly committed, and a really clear team of what the goal is, what the journey is, and where the destination is. That you tend not to have to worry about your customers or worry about your revenue or your bottom line, because those guys are doing it for you.
Yeah, that's great advice. Let's move on to some about sustainability now. So, how important do you feel sustainability truly is today?
Yeah, I mean it's up there in the top three, no doubt about it. So sustainability is vitally important for all organisations, and I think all organisations have come around to that now and have realised that and are embracing it. The important factor for me is about facts and education. So I like a bit of data. I like a bit of facts. 2 and 2 always make 4 wherever you are and whoever you are. But so that education is a key part for me, because I watch the debate over single-use plastics. Clearly, no one supports that. But if you're recycling 100% and putting 0 into landfill, there is no such thing as zero-use plastics. And so you continuing to use those sort of vessels is fine. The footprint or the effect carbon-wise using tin or tetra or glass are all worse. But again, I find it's very subjective, and people have different opinions on those type of products. And again, it's about that limitation of knowledge. And so I'd love to learn more about it. I'd love the information to be wider, more clearer on what is actually sustainable, what is good for a carbon neutral business. Really, what are people recycling, consistently, and what is going to landfill? Ideally, nothing. And so, and it goes wider than that. With the work we do with our charity. So we all, as a senior leadership team, volunteer. We go out once a month. We're helping feed the homeless in Birmingham City Centre. We work with varying organisations. So that's Feed Brum. We work with Olio about reducing our food waste and taking food and giving it to the homeless and going back to those food banks. We've got technology now trying to reduce our waste.
Yeah.
The team actually enjoy, and you can see the motivation, you can see the real pride that the team get by being part of that and getting their hands dirty and rolling their sleeves up. And that comes back to that about individuals sort of interviewing you as a leadership team or organisation. Where are your principles? What really are you doing?
Yeah.
And the team see that, they say that they love to engage in it, and they take a real sort of pride about being supportive of their local community and what they're able to give back.
That's absolutely brilliant. You were talking about green skills there. I'll send you a paper afterwards, because there's some really great stuff happening and great learnings and skills that companies are doing for industries. Another question: what advice would you give to new entrants coming into this industry?
There's probably two spring to mind. One is having a work ethic. So my parents drove into me from an early age, pretty assertively, the correct or the right work ethic. And you see people in abundance with that through the organization, and they're thriving and they're succeeding, and you can see their careers blossoming. It's very few, but there is a small number of people that may not have that same work ethic, that are struggling and feel like victims, but it's self-fulfilling. So the first thing I'd say is please bring that work ethic to whatever you do and however you do it. Always put your best foot forward, always try your best, and don't be frightened by a bit of hard work. And then the other one is about change. So change is inevitable, change is necessary, change is always going to happen. And you can again be on either end of the spectrum of that. You can be a victim of change, or you can wholeheartedly embrace it, enjoy it, be excited by it, and just accept sometimes those new challenges or new ways of doing it or new ways of thinking without actually knowing exactly what the real answer or solution is. But trust yourself, trust those around you, and jump in with both feet.
That's some really great advice from you, Kevin. Looking back on your career, what accomplishments or contribution? Well, we've talked about what you're most proud of, the Olympics, but what kind of lasting legacy do you want to leave?
For me, it's about having a sustainable organization. So there's going to be the majority of the team that are going to be working with and for Amadeus and the NEC Group long after I move on. So I'm only really a custodian of the business, and I need to take that responsibility seriously. I need to ensure it's in a better, stronger place from where I started, and that just ensures that legacy for people coming behind me, my successors, people in the team already that are able to grow, etc. I think you need to be able to look at yourself in the mirror. So I think your behaviour, you need to behave appropriately. I don't mind a bit of cheeky. I don't mind a bit of that sort of entrepreneurial skill, but I think taking liberties, being rude, not delivering what you say you're going to deliver, those type of behaviours, I don't think I'll be known for or recognised for. So I like to think my legacy would be the NEC Group and Amadeus are stronger for Kevin being here. He's left it in a better place. It's more sustainable. It's larger. It's got more firepower. It's got more cash. It's just in a stronger, larger position than when Kevin joined. And Kevin led from the front and showed us you can be ethical, you can be moral, you can have values and still run a successful business.
That's an amazing legacy that you're working on there. I love that. I absolutely love that. So we're coming towards the end of this episode. How can the audience contact you if they want to learn more about Amadeus, learn more about any opportunities that you have?
Sure. So if you go online and just Google the NEC venue or the group, or Google Amadeus directly, that will take you straight onto our home pages. It will talk about what we do, because as part of the NEC Group, we own the NEC Exhibition Centre, the National Exhibition Centre. We own the International Conference Centre. We own the Resort World Arena. We own the Utility Birmingham Arena, and we own the Vox Conference Centre. So they're all venues that we own in the West Midlands. Clearly, Amadeus are part of that group and do all the F&B through those venues. We do the same for other people in their own venues. So we've got Cadbury World, for example. We've got Farnborough International Conference and Exhibition Centre down in Hampshire. Mm-hmm. We do a lot of annualised sporting events, a lot of tennis and golf, blue chip, high level great sporting events, and we do a lot of one-off dinners for corporates and private people for celebrations, parties, or just getting together. So it's a very diverse group, very diverse business, Amadeus. We're always looking for talented people. We tend to look after our own. We tend to say, I know our turnover stats are very low. I look at our succession planning. I look at people around the business, where they've started and where they're ended up today, but also know they've got a good journey ahead of them as well. So it's a great place to be. Yeah. We do have fun along that journey. We don't take ourselves too seriously. It's a live events business. Everything we do is events, from concerts to comedians to exhibitions to anything. So it's got a real buzz, a real sort of live feeling to it, and we're bringing those live events to life. And clearly the catering and the hospitality and the food service is a key part of that experience. So if you're looking for a diverse, interesting role with a future and a career, please look up Amadeus and the NEC Group.
Thank you, Kevin. This has been it's been really lovely to speak to you again, and for you to learn a bit more about you, learn a bit more about Amadeus as well. We are at the end of this episode. So we have been on Consultants Corner, creating better understanding and insight and changing the industry narrative. Until next time, Kevin, thank you so much for your time this evening.
No, thank you, Maxine. I appreciate the half an hour, and I hope there's a little couple of pearls of wisdom there for somebody somewhere.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.